Hi everyone, Sarah here from Growing Home and Garden. In today's video, I'm going to be taking you through a week of cooking dinners, mostly from scratch in my house. I'm cooking for just my husband and myself. We like to try to eat pretty cleanly and cook most of our meals at home. Cooking dinner is actually one of my very favorite things to do during the day. I look forward to it all day long. So let's get right into the video, starting off with Monday. Starting off the week, I'm making a dish that I make almost every week, which is a whole roast chicken. It's a pretty simple dish, and one of the things I love about it is that it tends to last us at least a couple meals, which is really important to us because we work from home, and working from home and stopping to make a nice lunch in the middle of the day is challenging when you don't have some really good leftovers in the fridge already. I'm prepping a spice rub of salt, pepper, and oregano, and then garlic cloves, red onion, and lemon to be stuffed inside of the chicken. Stuffing the chicken will help flavor the meat as it cooks. And I'm patting it dry and just putting it on a regular baking sheet, stuffing that chicken. And I love to put melted butter over the top. The last step is just to pop the chicken in the oven at 425 degrees Fahrenheit for about an hour. The cook time is going to depend on the size of the chicken, but usually mine are finished at around an hour. And then I'm also chopping up some Japanese sweet potatoes to go on the side. I've been really liking Japanese sweet potatoes lately. I feel like they have a really nice kind of starchy texture, and that sweetness is really good too. So they don't end up being really mushy when they bake, but they're more starchy and solid, I would say. And I'm tossing those with some olive oil and salt. Those will go in the oven for just about 30 minutes. And then I'm going to be making one of my very favorite side dishes. This is garlic broccolini. My husband and I actually took a virtual cooking class a few months ago and learned this technique during that class, and we've been obsessed with this garlic broccolini ever since. So I'm really thinly slicing a few cloves of garlic, and then into a pan putting in some olive oil and butter, getting that all melted down and mixed together, and then adding in my broccolini. Then I add in some salt and toss the broccolini as it cooks in that butter and olive oil that's in the pan. And then once that broccolini is finished cooking and looks something like this, I turn off the heat and add in my very thinly sliced garlic and toss the broccolini. Again, heat is off, but toss the broccolini in that garlic and it'll pick up a really great garlic flavor while not being too strong and overpowering. This technique of adding in the garlic once the heat is off helps to make sure that the garlic doesn't get bitter, but the pan is still hot, so you're not getting a totally raw garlic flavor. This is what my chicken looked like all finished, and so I just carve it up, carve off the breasts, and pull off the wings and the legs as well. And it's right around this time that I get a surprise visitor in the kitchen. Do you see him? He really enjoys just standing there patiently and seeing if anything falls, because he'll be happy to clean up any chicken that falls on the floor. I think he might vote this meal as his favorite of the week because sometimes he gets chicken skin or some of the drippings from the cutting board. And I definitely save the bones from this meal so that I can make some really good chicken bone broth. On Tuesday, I'm making some burrito bowls, starting off with a red onion. This red onion will go in the meat that I am making, and it's also going to be a garnish for the top of the bowls. So I chop the garnish a little bit smaller than the pieces that are going to be going into flavoring the meat. I also add in some garlic and am starting off by sauteing those onions down. And I'm also chopping up some baby bell peppers to add into that base for the meat and putting those in the pan with the onions to cook down all together. And once those have caramelized nicely, I'm adding in some ground beef, cooking that through, and then adding in some taco seasoning. to the burrito bowls, I'm going to also be adding some beans. So I just strained some canned beans and am heating them up in a little olive oil, adding in cumin, salt, pepper, oregano, and some onion and garlic powder as well, and just really heating those all the way up. Next, for the base of the burrito bowl, I am going to be chopping up some lettuce very finely. This is romaine lettuce. I've heard people call this way of chopping up lettuce shreddus before, and I love that term, but I'm also going to add some chopped up cherry tomatoes to the bowls, so I'm getting those ready and chopping up some cilantro as well. Now that all of the cooking and prep is finished, it's time to assemble. So I like to do a base of the shreddus, and my husband likes some rice. So I get these frozen packets of rice from Trader Joe's that you can just warm up in the microwave for 3 minutes. It's a really good shortcut. Adding in the meat, the beans, and then all the garnishes to add some color and flavor. And I also ended up cutting up a lime into little wedges that I served on the sides of these dishes as well. On Wednesday night, we had some ground beef in the fridge, and we were feeling like a classic comfort food, so I ended up making spaghetti and meatballs, which is really easy to make. All you need is an egg, some breadcrumbs, your meat, some spices. This is an Italian spice mix that I really like to add, and then a little bit of garlic powder and onion powder, salt and pepper, mixing that all together and then forming them into balls. To cook the meatballs, I heat up my Dutch oven and then add in some olive oil, and then I'm placing each of the meatballs in individually, trying to give them all enough space to cook so that they don't stick together and that they don't feel too crowded and steam. And while those are cooking on that first side, I'm putting together a tomato sauce in my food processor. I always keep canned stewed tomatoes or diced tomatoes in my pantry so that I can whip up a sauce anytime. So this one was just some stewed tomatoes, garlic cloves, and some parsley, and then salt and pepper. And now that the meatballs have cooked for probably 5 minutes, I'm turning each of them, trying to make sure I'm not breaking them apart in the process. So just being very delicate, and then I'm gonna let them keep cooking away. And a few minutes later, once the meatballs have had some more time to cook through, they're not totally cooked through yet, I'm adding in my sauce, some salt and pepper, and then bringing that to a boil. I'm then going to let these all kind of cook and come together for about 15 to 20 more minutes. And while this cooks away, I am also starting a pot of pasta and timing it so that the pasta will be nice and al dente by the time the sauce is ready. Then I'm adding in the pasta and letting the sauce and the pasta cook together for a minute or two, just so the sauce and the pasta really have a chance to come together and those flavors get to blend. So this was Wednesday's dinner. Unfortunately, I did not get footage of Thursday's dinner. On Thursday evening, I went to the gym and my husband cooked for us. So he made a pasta with meat sauce and veggies in that sauce, so broccoli and peppers. It was really amazing, but I unfortunately didn't get any footage of it. So let's get right into the last dinner of the work week, which was chicken noodle soup. I usually use leftover chicken, but by this time in the week, we had eaten all of our leftover chicken as lunches for the week. So I cooked up some chicken breasts and also then peeled up some potatoes. I really like to add potatoes in my chicken noodle soup. It really feels like it makes it really hearty, and then chopping up some celery and some carrots as well. I only had baby carrots on hand, but you really can use whatever carrots you have. These ones made it really colorful. The soup was beautiful with these purple and yellow and orange carrots. Next up, I'm adding some chicken broth that I had made earlier in the week from leftover chicken bones. And then I'm just adding in all of my vegetables, so my carrots, my potatoes, and my celery. Next, I'm taking that chicken that I was making on the stove and I'm going to shred it up. On the stove, I didn't cook the chicken fully because I knew it was going to continue to cook when it was boiling in this soup. So the point of cooking it preliminarily on the stove was just to get a little bit of browning and that nice flavor that comes with the browning. After adding in the spices and once the chicken and all the vegetables are cooked thoroughly, then I added in some pasta shells and cooked those directly in the soup itself, which helps to thicken up the soup. And then I plated it and garnished with some parsley. I would love to know what your go-to weekday meal is in the comments below. I get a lot of meal inspiration from just seeing other people cooking, so I would love to hear. Please give this video a like and subscribe for more. I'll also leave my social media, blog, and shop in the description below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.